Okay, you guys. So the last video had music that was extremely loud. So I'm going to just redo this and hopefully it is better. Thank you guys for letting me know that, hey, Miss Bone, we cannot hear. Okay. So go ahead, get your paper out, and it's the same exact screen. I'm just re-recording it without the music. So again, we're talking about the introduction paragraph. If you have not had an opportunity to go and review the previous videos about the literary analysis overview and the thesis statement, again, I'm going to suggest that you do that. It is imperative that you do this, okay? All right. So the purposes of the introductory paragraph, we should know these by heart. There are three purposes. The introduction paragraph has three functions. It is going to introduce the reader to your overall argument. It is going to establish content, and it's going to grab the reader's attention. So we know your very first sentence in your introduction paragraph needs to be an attention grabber, okay? And it can be your first two sentences. For the sake of time, if we are doing a timed essay writing task, no more than two sentences, okay? Then your next sentence will be establishing the content, the context. That can simply be where you introduce the reader to the author, the title of the text, the genre of the text, and a brief gist statement of the overall text. And then you can go into communicating your thesis statement, your claim, your um, your assumption, your analysis. Okay. So step one is all about grabbing the reader's attention. Here I have listed a few types of attention grabbers. We have more that we will talk about in class. Questions are not uh, you cannot write a question. You will not write a question. Now, you can use a quote. You can use a quote from the text that we're reading. You can use a quote from a text that we have read. You can use a quote from someone famous, as long as your quotation relates back to your claim, back to your thesis statement, back to the theme or the topic of your essay. I am fine with that. You can use an anecdote. An anecdote is a brief, short story that relates to your essay, your theme, your thesis, your claim. Imagery. Of course, we know imagery paints a vivid picture on the mind of the reader. So if you want to use imagery, you will have to provide us with adjectives and adverbs that give us a vivid picture, something that we can see, something that we can smell or taste or hear or even touch with our mind. And everything needs to go back to your thesis statement. Background information, of course, the background information can be about the author's life, uh, things that inspired the author, or you could talk to me about a literary movement. We're talking about Harlem Renaissance, things of that nature. Um, Time period, what was going on in the context of the text. For example, in everyday use, we talked about the time period. So we know what was happening in the time of everyday, the time, the setting when Alice Walker wrote Everyday Use. Historical events that connects to the essay. All of these things need to connect back to your topic, back to your thesis statement, back to your thing. Flashing images. Again, it's a series of single words that relate to your essay, and we'll talk about that as well. Contrasting, we know what contrasting is. You can begin with an image, a contrasting image that is opposite of what your thesis statement is, and then in your second sentence, which is the transition, you can talk to me about how that contrast uh, helped you to see or help reveal the theme. So, steps two, your second sentence or your second step, because it may not be your sentence, but the second step will be to provide a transitional statement or background information. It all depends on what you did in your first step. So, I want you to think about how do we get our readers from the attention grabber to your thesis statement. This sentence should always connect. It should connect. It is like it's like a train. It is connecting the front part of the train, the engine to the caboose. So that's what or a bridge. I'll give you a bridge. This is a bridge over troubled water, okay? So you can give us background information again about the author, about the text, a gist statement. And that is always the safest way to go for you guys since you are beginning your journey of becoming literary essay writers, literary analysis essay writers. Okay. All right. So your last step is your thesis statement. There is a video that talks to you all about the thesis statement. Remember, your thesis statement is two parts. It's your claim, it's your explanation of your claim. In other words, how you're going to prove your claim or how your claim was proven to you. Um, and if you are answering a writing prompt, your thesis statement is the answer to that writing prompt. Okay. All right. If it's asking you about theme, what I mean when we're talking about your claim, you're going to have to tell us the theme, and then the explanation is how did how was this theme revealed to you? Did the author reveal the theme through um, metaphors or connotations and denotations of words, imagery? Uh, was the thing revealed through relationships with characters? Things of that nature, okay? All right. So we talked about the introduction. You should be good with the introduction. If you're not, I want you to jot down any questions that you have, and then you're going to present them to me in class. Now, let's talk about the body. I'm going to give you an overview of the body, and then later on in the week, we're going to break down the body because our task tomorrow will be to write an introductory essay and gather evidence for I'm sorry, introductory paragraph and start working on your body. By the end of the week, you guys will have a literary analysis completed for a grade, and it will be multiple grades. All right, so body, 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 body. Your body paragraph. The body paragraph is the place where you will do the explaining. You're going to provide evidence and you're going to explain your evidence. This is where you do your defending. This is where you become the attorney and you're going to have to lay your evidence on the line and you're going to have to prove your evidence. You just can't tell me um, Shakespeare showed Shake in Romeo and Juliet, love leads to loss. You can't just tell me that. You got to prove it. How do you know this? What did you see in the text? What did you see from the characters? What did William Shakespeare show in his writing. How did he show that? Okay. All right. So this is where you're going to gather pieces of evidence, and that evidence will become topics in each paragraph. And each paragraph will focus on a valid interpretation of that literary element or that literary device. Your goal is to prove that you are correct, to prove your thesis statement is correct, okay? Important things to remember. You got to always revisit your thesis statement because your thesis statement is the blueprint. If you do not revisit your thesis statement and you're writing an essay and your body paragraph does not support or connect to your thesis statement, then we're lost. Remember what we talked about in class? Hey, I'm going to take you to Africa, and I told you that we're going to go visit 3 things, but then when we get there, I talk to you or I show you something totally different. Okay, you're let down, you're disappointed. So that is why we revisit our thesis statement. Our thesis statement is the blueprint. It is showing us, it's telling us where we're going to go. Then you got to explain each piece of evidence, and you need to be convincing, and you need to make sense, and you need to provide specific quotes from the text, and you got to explain how these quotations support your answer and connect to your thesis statement. Again, the goal is to prove that you're right, okay? All right, parts of the paragraph. For you all, one paragraph should be a minimum of 8 sentences, okay? And I'm not talking about 8 simple sentences. We're going to move from simple sentences to more complex sentences, to compound complex sentences. Um, Compound sentences. I want you to write complex sentences. I want you to challenge yourself. Your very first sentence in the body paragraph will be your topic sentence. Remember, when we're talking about topic sentences, we're talking about a subject. That subject needs to connect to your thesis statement. Everything connects to your thesis statement. Your quotation is coming directly from the text. That quotation needs to link back, connect back to your topic, the topic that you're writing about. And then it also needs to support your thesis statement. Then you're going to have to explain your quote. What does it mean? What does it matter? What is it showing? Why is it important? That is what I'm talking about. Okay? And then we're going to do that again. You're going to give me 2 quotes and 2 explanations. And then we're going to have a concluding sentence. Your concluding sentence is the part of the paragraph that summarizes the main point of that one paragraph. Okay? And that sentence should be totally different from your topic sentence. However, it can repeat key words and the idea of that whole entire paragraph. Okay? All right. So I want you to go back through, watch the video, pause, take good notes. If you have any questions, jot down your questions, and then in the middle of the week, we will start talking about the topic sentence and the concluding sentence, and we will start breaking down this body paragraph. And then by Friday, we will be on to our concluding paragraph. All right, you guys have a good night. Again, don't be afraid to text me through Remind if you have any questions. Jot down your questions. I will answer them in class. All right, you guys, have a good one.